Hebrews 3 verse 1. Holy partners in a heavenly calling, considering Jesus. The preacher of Hebrews does not ease us into his exhortation with soft words or vague comforts. Instead, he strikes a summons. Therefore, holy brothers and sisters, partners in a heavenly calling, consider Jesus, the apostle and high priest of our confession. Hebrews 3 verse 1. It is as if he pauses after 2 chapters of radiant Christology, Christ higher than angels, greater than prophets, victorious over death, and now, with a single word, turns doctrine into duty. Therefore, Horten becomes a hinge that binds truth to life. This is not a suggestion for casual reflection, like a fleeting glance out a window. It is a divine imperative. Fix the eyes of your soul upon Christ. Look at him steadily, attentively, until his glory reorders your horizon. For perseverance is not fueled by vague optimism, nor by sheer willpower, but by a sustained, deliberate gaze upon Jesus. Hebrews 3 verse 1 teaches us that our perseverance is anchored in remembering our heavenly identity, living in communion with God's people, and fixing our deliberate attention on Jesus. First, our heavenly identity. The address is striking. Adelphoi Hagioi, holy brothers and sisters. This combination is unique in the New Testament. It is not a compliment for moral attainment, but a declaration of status. To be, Hagioi, is to be consecrated, set apart by grace, cleansed and claimed by the blood of Christ. Holiness here is not the fruit of human striving, but the gift of divine adoption. Notice also the family term, Adelphoi. The recipients are not isolated believers, each soldiering on alone. They are siblings bound together in Christ, sharing his name and his inheritance. As Hughes observes, the reminder of family identity is not ornamental. It is essential. When Christians forget that they are consecrated siblings, their hearts are more easily hardened, and their witness more easily fractured. Calvin presses the same point. The title Holy Brothers is given not to flatter, but to fortify. If God has named us his sanctified family, shall we not live as such? Our perseverance rests upon remembering who we are. Forgetfulness of identity is often the first step toward apostasy. Second, our heavenly calling. From identity, the writer turns to vocation, medikoi klesios epiranio, partners in a heavenly calling. The term medikoi, partakers or partners, underscores shared participation. Christianity is not a private spirituality, but a communal pilgrimage. Believers are fellow travelers, co-heirs of a single destiny. The calling itself is klesis, a summons, not a suggestion. In Paul's letters, it is effectual, the sovereign voice of God summoning sinners from darkness to light. Here it is sharpened with the adjective, epiranio, heavenly. This calling does not terminate in earthly temples, rituals, or lands. It does not settle for shadows. It directs hearts upward to a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Hebrews 12 verse 28. To a city whose builder and maker is God. Haldane reminds us that the Christian's hope is never merely terrestrial. Earthly comforts fade, earthly powers crumble. But the heavenly calling fixes our gaze beyond the shifting sands of time. To remember this calling is to walk through the world with a pilgrim's heart, thankful but not bound, invested but not ensnared. Third, our heavenly focus. At the heart of the verse stands the imperative, katanoesite ton yesun. Consider Jesus. The verb, katanoao, means more than a passing glance. Thayer describes it as to fix the mind upon with deep contemplation. Kittel adds that it implies sustained attention leading to comprehension. It is the same word used in Luke 12 verse 24. Consider the ravens. Look long enough to learn. Observe until understanding dawns. The object of this consideration is not abstract doctrine, but a person, ton yesun. and the lens through which he is to be considered is his dual office, the apostle and high priest of our confession. As apostolos, Christ is the envoy of God, the one sent with full authority to reveal the Father. As archieros, he is the mediator who carries us into God's presence by his sacrifice and intercession. These roles are not incidental. They summarize the movement of the gospel. As apostle, he brings God down to us. As high priest, he lifts us up to God. Robertson captures the weight of this. Christ is both the messenger and the mediator, the one who reveals and the one who reconciles. And the exhortation is clear. Do not skim, but study. Do not glance, but gaze. Let your mind linger on his offices until confidence is rekindled and confession is renewed. Reflections for today. The summons of Hebrews 3 verse 1 presses urgently into our present. We live in an age of distraction where identity is borrowed from shifting labels, career, politics, culture, and not from the blood of Christ. When believers forget they are holy brothers and sisters, consecrated and adopted, they lose their anchor. The result is drift toward compromise, toward cynicism, toward spiritual amnesia. We also live in an age that prizes the immediate and the tangible. To be called partners in a heavenly calling sounds strange to ears tuned to earthly ambitions. Yet this calling is the antidote to despair. In a culture that worships what is fading, only the heavenly summons steadies the soul. Remembering our calling as pilgrims and heirs reorients every trial. We are not home yet, but we are heading home. And what of the command to consider Jesus? In a world of constant noise, he is often reduced to a passing thought, compartmentalized into Sunday mornings, or invoked as a religious ornament. But Hebrews insists, he must be the sustained focus of our attention, not an afterthought, but the center, not a fleeting glance, but a fixed gaze. To persevere in a world bent on pulling us away, we must cultivate the discipline of considering Christ until his glory reshapes our imagination and his faithfulness steadies our fears. Conclusion. Hebrews 3 verse 1 is no casual encouragement. It is a summons. You are holy brothers and sisters, consecrated by blood. You are partners in a heavenly calling, summoned to a city that endures. You are commanded to consider Jesus, the apostle who reveals God to us and the high priest who brings us to God. Here is the bedrock of perseverance. Identity remembered, calling embraced, Christ considered. To fix our gaze on him is to stand firm, for he is the center, the compass, and the crown of our faith. Consider Jesus, not briefly, but deeply, not occasionally, but continually. For in considering him, we find strength to endure, hope to sustain, and joy to carry us home.